the Biden executive order, always ask yourself, people who think that needs to be more laws on the books about guns, would it have stopped whatever shooting you're currently animated about? In this case, Biden went to Monterey Park, a suburb of Los Angeles, where on Lunar New Year, uh, a, a a chap upset that his ex-wife is still ballroom dancing with other men, went and killed 11. Went to another location and was disarmed. So what did he announce yesterday?
Biden administration is taking new steps to try to address gun violence. The president signed an executive order yesterday in Monterey Park, California. That was the site of a mass shooting just 2 months ago where a gunman killed 11 people during a Lunar New Year celebration. The new order signed by the president is designed to increase background checks for the purchase of guns.
So now apply that retroactively to this very shooting where he went. One of the handguns was legally purchased. He had a background check. He filled out the ATF form 4473. Is this a guy who should have possessed guns? Well, in retrospect, it would seem no. But nevertheless, he was legally allowed because you don't have to submit psychological paperwork. Do you have a short fuse? Are you harboring a embittered grudge against your ex-wife? Are you a lonely man living in a trailer? With with crates and crates of ammunition. None of those things are illegal. It's not illegal having a hair trigger. It's illegal to act like he did. So, is there a machine that's going to peer into the future or into your heart or something? I don't know. But this is also done so that you can go to the dramatic scene where, the pictures of the victims are still up and the president gets to say, I'm still gonna ban assault rifles.
NBC News Chief White House correspondent Kristen Welker joins us now from the White House. Kristen, good morning. So first of all, can you break down exactly what this executive order does and what the president's saying about it?
Hi, Joe. Well, it is good to be with you. President Biden announcing that new executive order in really somber remarks in Monterey Park yesterday. The order does a couple of things. The primary goal is to make sure that authorities are fully implementing that bipartisan gun law that passed last year.
So that's what I didn't get about it. It was an order that you read the bipartisan gun legislation from last year really, really hard or something. It wasn't really clear what the EO that he signed was. We all saw a day a day of festivity and light turned into a day of fear and darkness, he said yesterday afternoon, after, of course, he did the performative naming of the mass shooting victims. I'm here with you today to act. And there was applause. So the EO directs the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, to clarify the statutory definition of who is engaged in the business of selling firearms. An authority and administration officials said it was detailed and sweeping bipartisan. It's really weird. Okay, so I order the Attorney General to really clarify who's engaged in the business of selling firearms. Um, Here in the state of Washington, there was a time when a private party could be contacted or advertised to another private party and privately sell a firearm. That's done now, and I gotta tell you, federally, every gun sold legally in Texas has to be background checked, and Florida. I mean, you can look around. What state has the most freedom? Has the most uh, open gun laws, and they're not on the West Coast anymore. In Oregon, you can't. So anyway, I have no idea if anyone can explain to me what this executive order does um, to prevent mass shootings by crazy people. Then I'm unaware. Like I say, one of the handguns he used was legally purchased in like 1991 or something. The other one was legally purchased in California when you could legally purchase and not register a 80% pistol handgun kit. And if you don't know what that is, because Seattle police, this is responsible for about 1/3 of the murders last year in Seattle and King County, is the gun that you can buy and then make yourself. Basically, you take a Dremel tool, and if you know what you're doing, in about 15 minutes, The plastic is ready for you to drop in the trigger and all this stuff. It's for about 10 years, responsible people who could work a drill press had the right, because ATF is not going to change this. It's a federal law that you can make a sporting firearm for personal use. And you don't have to call West Virginia and say, yeah, I want to register this. I just made it. They're going to say, well, yeah, but you don't have to. If you sell it, then you have to go to a gun shop and transfer it there, a federal firearms license gun shop. So anyway, that's always my litmus test is, what would this have done to prevent the shooting that's behind you, the backdrop there? And
However
I don't know.
beautiful the strategy, you should occasionally look at the results. This is one of the reasons Thomas Sowell got out of government, because he witnessed firsthand how politicians only cared about pushing and passing and implementing a policy, and no one went back and checked on its effectiveness.
Yeah.
That's not what the game was about. And so he said, I'm wasting my time here. I need to get out of government. And exactly like you said here, is there going to be any follow-up to this executive order? And where the strictest gun policies are in place is where some of the worst gun violence is.
Well, Chicago.
You're only going to be able to begin to fix this problem if you have really tough conversations across the country about values. We need a new generation of young men who grow up with present fathers in the household. We need young men growing up with meaning and purpose in their lives and not being brought up in a cultural postmodernist malaise that is going on right now.
Yeah, and it's funny, whether it's Jon Stewart or whoever, if someone says the United States is the only place on earth where this mass shooting, stuff happens, I always ask them, why doesn't it happen in Switzerland? Are they just better people than us? I mean, they're multi-ethnic, they're a democracy, and 1/3 of the households have a very actual government-issued assault rifle in the closet locked. And yeah, they have access to ammo. And shooting is very popular in Switzerland on weekends. They go to ranges all the time. Why don't they have mass shootings? Could it be that their teenage boys are not on psychotropic drugs when they're 12, over 13? I'm not sure. If someone can tell me why they don't in Switzerland, and they have more actual assault rifles, not semi-automatic rifles, then help me out.
It's just common sense to check whether someone is a felon, a domestic abuser,
Yeah, but they do.
before they buy a gun.
Anyway, that was yesterday.